Muy buenas tardes, buenos días, buenas noches, dependiendo de dónde estén. Este es Jesús Hoyos, tomando café. Y hoy no está, hoy nos vamos a tomar una taza de café con Katya Rozenoer, que ella viene desde Israel y ella es fundadora de Blastra, empresa que se dedica a poner a los proveedores en los directivos, en los directorios, en la internet. You think that you're going to start to learn Spanish like right now, no?
Yeah, so I was actually trying to learn Spanish when I lived in the US, but I failed.
Yeah. So, Kaya, tell us a little bit that, what you do, the main goal of, of Blastra, the main focus of what you do, because we know we're going to have a conversation, about how you guys are also helping, companies in the Latam market be found out there, especially before and after AI. So tell us who you are and, what you guys do.
Sure. So I'm Katya. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Blastra. And Blastra is a SaaS listings management company. I'll explain a bit later what that means. I'll just say that I've been in B2B software, like tech marketing, for more than 10 years. Usually my role would be like one of the first or the first marketeer in a company with like a limited budget that needed to grow. And I was always like trying to look for ways to promote a company without spending too much money on promotions. And for many, many years, I've been familiar with what's called software directories. These are essentially yellow pages of the internet. That's how those companies came to be. One of the first one is Capterra. If you heard about them, it's like a site which was dedicated to software. They launched almost 20 years ago, I think, and the idea was that people needed software already then, and they needed a way to select the software, right? So it's like a catalog on the internet. Then in like 2008, something like that, I think they came up with an idea of placing reviews under software, and they were making money from vendors, and they were like, well, should we start also publishing reviews about software? I read like a founder's story, and they had some doubts and they were scared, but that turned out to be a very, very big success, because people who were purchasing software, they wanted peer reviews. That's the best way to buy something, right? Like you talk to a friend who uses it. If you cannot talk to a friend, you talk to like a person, and like this directory served as like a trusted source for that review. And they invest a lot in verification of those reviews. So directories have been around for decades. They have always been important. They have always worked well if you knew how to use them, and I knew how to use them, and I've been using them successfully for many years. Then at some point I started to understand that like years go by, the way that I manage directories does not improve. Like project management improved, and my CRM experience improved, but my experience with software directories did not improve. I managed them in a spreadsheet 10 years ago. I was still managing them in a spreadsheet in 2025 and like 2026. And the interfaces were like a bit clumsy and
I do remember, yes.
outdated. Yes, and you have to navigate. And every time I had to update the listing of my company on Capterra, I would literally have to Google login for vendors, because they're like double-faced. There's an entrance for buyers. There's a login for vendors. So like small things that make all of this experience very, let's say, unpleasant. And the work itself on directors is also not so pleasant, in terms of like, you're not producing anything new. Like the single job of the directory is to serve as a mirror and like the essence of what you want to say, you already settle that on your marketing website, on your sales collateral, right? So like you have to create a mirror which shows the world who you are, what your product is, and then you have to push your customers to leave reviews on those sites. And like maybe you have several of those. So and then AI came out, and then it became very clear that what AI does, AI tells stories to people, and people love stories, and AI needs sources to tell stories about products to people who are looking for products. And what AI does, it does not rely on one source, which is your marketing website. It scans the web, looks at all the different sources, and decides magically by itself, it's a black box, what facts is it going to use to tell you a story, which story is it going to tell. And turns out, and we see now more and more data about that, that AI looks at directories as at trusted sources of information. And I tell you, it's also very convenient for AI to look at directories and source the information there, because the data is dense, structured. It's a catalog, so it's all categorized like in the library. So you go there and like you find immediately like lots of options to give your user to. And also, like conveniently enough, they have reviews. Unlike Reddit, where everybody can post anything, and like God knows what moderators decide to keep and remove. On those directories, reviews are being verified. They have practice established for years to verify that the person leaving a review is real, because it has always been important for buyers. So AI finds out that it's very cheap and computationally efficient to look at those directories for the data to come up with those stories for users. And we're seeing now more and more that people start to discover that, wow, okay, listings matter, and the categories that I'm tagged with as a product matter, and G2 is appearing to be a source for multiple like high intent queries, and so does Gartner Peer Insights, and so does TrustRadius, and there's a PeerSpot, and we just start hearing those names, and these are not really the names that we know, because for the reasons that I've explained, directories were a bit of a hassle to manage. People would know maybe one or two and manage one or two. And now it turns out that it seems like a better strategy to be on several software directories, because AI picks the ones that feed better a particular user who is like requesting the information. And then it just, goes and looks what's written about you, who you're comparing to, and then it may continue with its research. But this is how it discovers you, and this is also how like it digs deeper about what your product is. So I forgot to answer. What do I do with it, right? With what does Blastra do? And Blastra helps you manage those listings. Blastra simplifies for a company the process of submitting the product to different directories, and also keeping the listing up to date, because pricing change with ship software every month, major releases and screenshots change, and messaging may change. So that all needs to be maintained now. So AI also always has like fresh sources to get the information from. And also we have help with reviews, because AI is very hungry for authentic reviews. So it digs into reviews, and it even may look at if the vendor is responding to reviews. So that part needs to be managed as well. And the Blustra is like this a central place, like a central source of truth for a company to keep the information about it and like to propagate all the directories about the company with this information. And we're like moving towards helping to manage with reviews and helping like to do like strategic work with the categorization, because this is what matters. And I'm not actually like, and this is called SaaS listings management. I'm not inventing it. I got inspired by actually what local businesses have, because when smartphones came about, turned out that the local business is being found by people who are looking at their, not at their website, but at Google Maps, Apple Maps, Yelp, TripAdvisor. This is where they get information about local business. And turned out that local businesses needed to keep like the hours updated and the phone updated and everything. So Yext, a company that's now public, was valued, I think, at $1 billion, came out and offered small businesses a single dashboard to manage all their listings. And now companies use Yext and other companies, Uberall, to manage their listings. And that's small business. While a marketeer of an AI company is juggling with a spreadsheet, trying to update an information about their fantastic product that does miracles on Capterra and G2 and SourceForge and what have you.
Yeah.
So,
So if let me use an analogy with coffee now. Okay.
okay.
Uh, I am. I like to drink black coffee, and in Latin America, every time that I go, I like to buy the local coffee. At the
Mm-hmm.
airport or a particular coffee shop. Usually, when I try Latin America, that's what I get. The local coffee to bring that out home. So my daughter also, she's a coffee drinker, husband, my wife. Okay, and we go into, when we travel, let's go to the local town and let's drink the local coffee. You know, usually when it's the local coffee, is the coffee that is brewed locally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or the beans are blended. And they go to
Sure.
the grind and they sell it to
Mm.
you. And sometimes when you look at the where the bean is coming from, we have Arabic beans and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, they tell you that the bean has been grown, in Puerto Rico or in Colombia. Or sometimes they say, no, I take the bean from here, plus I take the bean from there, and I put it together, and here it is, which,
Right.
does, Starbucks and many of the coffee shops, they do. But lately, I've been trying to look at the truly, truly, truly local, shops that buy from local, coffee, farms in remote places. So I did a Google search. I didn't find a lot, but I found that a lot of the big companies are buying the local companies. But
Mm-hmm.
I went to AI and I asked, I was very specific, and through AI, I found a bunch of blogs and forums where people are talking about this. I wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
only one,
Right.
so there is a niche of people like me, looking for that particular coffee, okay, that I want to buy, you know, because, nowadays, I mean, when you buy a bag of coffee, it's expensive, 20, 25, 30, $40, depending on the type of coffee that you want, no? So I want
Mm-hmm.
to be very specific, no? So I found through AI, the different, ChatGPT and so on, that, yeah, there's out there a bunch of people with reviews. Don't buy it from here, buy it from there.
Right.
If you buy this, commercial brand, well known, which costs you whatever, $20, you can buy the other one for 25 and it's local, you know. And out of the sudden, I was myself, being, I don't know, a coffee influencer, whatever that is, because I say, hey, telling my wife and my daughter, look at what I found, and we go, oh, because we have like our top 5 places that we go to, and but now, if I use that analogy, and specifically, I want my coffee black, but with the flavor of the coffee. Okay. And my daughter said, yeah, I want it black, but I also want to milk, and I want to put canela and this and that. So different flavor, but I'm very specific. So if I want to use that analogy, I'm assuming that you drink coffee.
I
Okay.
do.
Okay. So what you do is sort of the same thing. You have the gardeners and the foresters that they have the reviews. Okay. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to pay for that. And, they have influencers and analysts that, they do all that stuff. But then you have these directories, G2, Capterra, Trust Radius. There's many others that are global,
Mm-hmm.
peer review sites, and I've been there because I have advice for customers to go to those places. They do what you told me. I have an Excel file. I have to change. I have to move this content, move it over there. I have vendors in Latin America that they have email marketing tools, but they also do customer journeys and they also do marketing automation. So they got to be in three categories,
Right.
so people can, have an eyeball, they
Right.
see it and they can comment, you know. So you guys solve that issue. So if you are a software as a service B2B company that's selling, to other, customers, and you want to be found, and they want to, put you in the top 5 for the RFP process or the top 20 for RFI process. So you tell them, give me your information. I
Mm-hmm.
sort that out for you. Okay. And we take care of managing and optimizing. So whenever anybody will do a search in Google now with AI, you are found. And by the way, these are the key things that you have to do so you are found in this website, because you got to have the proper tagging, the
Right.
proper catalog, the proper content and context,
Right.
and you need to invite people as well to leave you good and bad reviews. you know
Uh, yes, yes, to confirm that you're alive. Yeah, no, I think that this is the thing, and like, what's different now compared to what was like in pre-AI era. In pre-AI, like, you could pay your way into the top positions on Google, right? You could just pay and become this blue link that Google shows, and now there's no one to pay to show your product on AI. I mean, you can try with ChatGPT, but like I'm not sure like this is like the way for now and for the future, right? You want to appear in that narrative. And a lot of research comes out now, like the people do trust this narrative of AI, but AI decide where to take the information from, and it decides not based on like the absolute reputation of that particular resource, but like how does this resource make sense for that particular user, right? So we see a lot of, for example, like European companies have traction on GitHub. GitHub is a sister directory of Capterra, Spanish founded. Like, so they have roots there. So like that, AI would quote this directory in many cases, and like not G2, for example, although G2 like is like one of the major sources for AI. So you want to be on several directories as a company. You want to make sure you're tagged correctly with the correct categories, and you want to make sure that you're sending a consistent message, and that your story is coherent. We're now doing a research with my colleague from I tell you the name, MGI agency. Like they do SEO consultancy. So what we're doing, we're looking at a set of 150 software companies, including about 25 CRM players. And we're looking at how they are shown in AI, for which prompts, and we're comparing it with their with the data on their directory presence. We analyzed each CRM company across 12 directories, and we're finding very interesting things. We're finding, for example, there's this directory called the Trustpilot. It's not really a B2B software directory. It's very consumer focused directories for companies selling stuff, for service companies. But turns out that ChatGPT is looking at Trustpilot presence to it seems like that it's looking at Trustpilot presence to establish if the company is big enough and is creditable, and it ignores the rating, but it proceeds with researching this company further. Right? And that's not something I expected to see. And I actually talked to Trustpilot today, and they were like, "Well, we're not really a good fit for B2B SaaS." And I'm saying, "Yeah, well, that's not what AI thinks. It seems." Right? But then, like, of course, there are different queries that come from buyers to AI, depending on where the buyer is in the buying journey, right? Some may start with very vague questions about like, I'm having this problem. How do I solve it? And then they start discussing like the pains and possible use cases. And then this is where like AI selects a category, maybe, or like what tool would help this user. Should this be like are we talking about like CRM type of tool, or are we talking about a customer success type of tool? Right, there's like that happens a categorization, and then like AI starts looking at the category, like who are the players in this category, let me see who is big there. Right, it's not really googling. Right, it looks at the starts looking at the software directories. Maybe like it looks at if this is an enterprise company, it will look at the Gartner, and we see that Gartner makes huge impact. Gartner Peer Insights, it's their directory, makes huge impact on like larger CRM players. Presence there is like the key. Right, so like it starts then looking at the players, and then depending on who is asking, it will change where it's looking at, whether like at Gartner or at a smaller
So,
directory.
so
Yeah,
besides being part of the directories,
yeah.
you also help, companies to be listed or to appear, when you do a prompt in AI.
It's indirectly. I cannot say that I will help, unfortunately, or not yet. But we need to understand that these are directories are the trusted sources for AI. This is where AI looks. And also, what's the beauty of directories? Like these are sources that you can somewhat control. You cannot absolutely control what's being discussed on Reddit. It can be like there can be discussions seeded by your competitors on Reddit, and we I trust Reddit wants to be an authentic community. They do all the best, but then, like in the end of the day, there are moderators who decide, and the forum is anonymous, as great as it is. And like you have very little control over what's going on Reddit, other than really trying to make impact. And like this is where we're entering like into this gray area, right? How to do marketing on Reddit. um, and directories is absolutely like nothing gray. It's absolutely white. It's the source that you officially like you verify there as a vendor. You upload your screenshots. You pass your product information. Well, actually, us on your behalf, and you bring the reviews from people who have to identify with their corporate domain, email, or with their LinkedIn. And you can make all the efforts to bring those reviews onto the directories and to have a discussion going. You can reply to negative reviews, even if it's negative, like you can reply, say the issue's been taken care of, or thank you, or like that's been like already solved. This all of those things like are within your control, and they're like I think like soon they will be much better indexed than Reddit, and it will be much better understood how valuable the verification process that's in place for directories actually is for AI.
Because you guys, have a post about, that these directories are, are working for the Latam
Mhm.
market. And let me give you an overview,
Right.
my understanding, and then, give me your feedback, how
Hmm.
you see the growth in Latin America. Capterra definitely, which was acquired by G2.
Correct.
Okay. And like you mentioned before, it has an app, Get App, that, so you can be listed there. Uh, uh, they they help you, and they have localized versions for Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Colombia, and they also
Hmm.
have categories, and for Brazil they have it in Portuguese,
Hmm.
and they also have other particular markets in Latam. uh, and when I look into the next one, so you have Get Up and So Far Advice, which is part, of the G2 Capterra, I guess,
Hmm.
group of companies.
Right.
Uh, they don't have localization per se, but you might appear in Mexico and Brazil. And then definitely G2 by itself, which is the largest, B2B review. Everybody knows
Hmm.
G2. They have budgets, and they have some of the Spanish and Portuguese presence. And then, Gartner Peer Insights, which is the directory version for Gartner.
Hmm.
Uh, they have it, but they are not localized yet. And
Right.
then, like you mentioned, they have Trust Radios, but it still is centric to the United States.
Hmm.
Okay. And then definitely, we have local ones. And there's one that you
Right.
mentioned, Evaluando Software out of Argentina.
Hmm.
I know of them before, Evaluando Software, and I think that mostly they started doing ERP software a long time ago. Uh, Compara Software, another directory in Latam. B2B Stack, mostly for Brazil. Okay. And for what I see is that it doesn't matter if it's Spanish, English, or Portuguese. If you're a software vendor that number one, that you want to get into Latam, and
Hmm.
or you want to be known in Latam, and you're local, you want to be known in Latam, and you want to be, also go out the US and the European market, you need to be in these directories.
You want to be right. Like this is like not the
You need
panacea.
to,
Yeah.
or you must be there. I mean, you have. I mean, that's like a base foundation for marketing and organic traffic. You need to be in this directory. I mean, it's the
Uh,
fact.
yes, yes. I mean, of course, and like, you want to be there, and you probably want to use the beautiful, absolutely beautiful tool that Capterra has, which is PPC. You can pay for being shown on top of category search. What this means and why I love it because Capterra. So you rule from one backend by Capterra, Software Advice, and Get Up actually I think has localization also. It's very it's very established. So you can put a budget on like Capterra and select countries in which you want to bid. For these countries, they have localized website to which you can put content, localized content, and the content can be both localized and customized per category. The level of precision of your message that Capterra allows you to create is very high. That's not something you can really do in other places. And we're talking high intent users, right? So the way it works, a user searches in Latam, I don't know, in Mexico, they search for a CRM solution for their company, and they land through AI or Google search, right? It's 50-50 now, like people search. Through AI or Google search, they land on the Capterra's page for this category. And what they read, like they can see a vendor who put a budget on PPC. The default view is the sponsored view still, and it works. So they can sit on top the vendor who paid for that, and the messaging they see is on their native language, in their native language, and it's tailored for that particular category, right? Like CRM solution, and it's I think it's fantastic, and it does not require a large budget also. So these are like the tools that you want to be using, of course, and the local directories also you want to be using, and you can try like this and that and see what works for you. And this is the way to be. This is absolutely the way to be found. And again, this is one of the things that you have to be doing, right? Not like the world doesn't end there.
Mm-hmm.
There are other activities, but this is like the very, very foundation, which is very simple to do if you have an ability to manage it. If you don't have an ability to manage it, then the problem is that like you have to juggle those spreadsheets. But if you have, it's cheap. It's like it's not a big investment in terms of time and
So what does it
yeah.
mean to be found?
Yeah.
Okay, and then because when you're found, in the directories, there's two ways. You're going to be found through a traditional search engine, you know, AI, or in the directory. Okay, and the idea is there is reviews and everything. You have all the accolades, and all the stars and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So in there, I'm assuming as a software vendors are going to have access to that data. I know who's clicking, where they're coming from, and so on, because there
Right.
will help me identify and or redefine or adjust, optimize my buyer persona or my ideal customer profile.
Hmm.
That's one thing. That's the data part of it. Okay, and then second, there's a call to action, so I can so they contact you, and and so this needs to be set up as a campaign, as a software company, so I can keep track of this, and I see at the very end the return of investment, with the proper UTMs and so on. Uh, do you guys do the whole end to end? Even track the campaign, and you say I gave you 200 leads today. Is that a separate service?
That's a
How that
separate,
works?
yeah. So for us, it's like a separate managed service that we start offering, like the Capterra's PPC, and like that's something like we're a young company, so we are evolving and like following the needs of the customers. What we do already now is every link that we post to directory listing on behalf of our customer has UTM tags. We use AI a lot in the process. The process is heavily like relying on humans, but there's like we use a lot of AI. So we create all the descriptions with AI, and then we also create UTM tags for the links that we place on behalf of the customers. So they are able to track. But I have to say that the click traffic from directories is not a good indication of success, right? That's not indicative of the ROI, because a lot of search now is like what's called zero click. People talk to Google overview or to AI, about their problem, about the solution that they're looking for, and they may not click onto the website. They may just, go direct
Is that
after
is
that.
that is that zero click? Is that going to become the norm?
I think it's already the norm. That's that's my understanding. That like listen, so G2 published a research this week, and basically what they say that B2B software buying starts with a chat prompt in like 51% of the cases now, and it was like much less just several months ago. And this is just the nature of AI search, right? People talk, hear the stories of that the AI tells them, and they're not necessarily clicking right away. They may have a discussion. This AI may come up with a short list, and they just like sit with the short list, and then at some point they will visit the website. But
So there's
so
so there's so there so then we have the sense of fear of missing out, the fear that you won't be shown on that listing,
uh,
therefore you won't even get the zero click.
right, right, right. That's the thing. No, that's the thing. And this is very hard to track when you are not recommended, and why. Go figure. Why weren't you recommended? Maybe
hmm
it's because
hmm
like you didn't
Well,
have this
it's funny that you
profile.
mentioned that, because the other day I went to ChatGPT, and I said, could you give me the top 10, CRM influencers in
Mm-hmm.
Latam? So it gave me a list, and I wasn't there. But when I
Oh,
was looking at the list, it was all uh, employees of CRM vendors, okay,
mm,
that are active on LinkedIn and other places, but they also have their own personal blogs,
interesting.
okay. But I didn't ask the question, independent, agnostic to technology, my prompt wasn't that good.
Mm,
Okay. So then I did a follow up. Then I said, how about me? And then it came
mm-hmm,
back like, like in structured data,
mm-hmm.
he said, haha, you didn't
Okay.
ask about you. He's,
Uh,
and I went, I know about you. And then I said, well, tell me the other people like me, you know,
mm-hmm,
and they couldn't find them because, and I know they are, and I
mm-hmm,
have colleagues and we do podcasts together and everything. I know, I can tell you who's in Colombia, influencer in CRM, in Argentina and so on, Brazil and so on, but they are not that active, being there, out there. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And, and sometimes, they're more focused on CX versus CRM, or they're more focused into a small business sales.
mm-hmm,
Others are more into growth marketing, so all of a sudden, you have all these terms, you have the context,
mm-hmm.
and you need to be known around all those, I guess, categories, so,
Right.
and sometimes when I look at, G2 and the others, I see tools that are tagged as customer journeys, and I know they are not customer journey tools.
Yeah.
They do sequences of emails.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, but somebody tag it so it shows up. But and I saw the bad reviews, say, hey, you are not customer journey, you are good doing email marketing,
mm-hmm,
okay, but you don't do cost journeys, the true definition of journey, omni-channel, multiple channels, SMS, WhatsApp, push notification, web, email, and so on, so, and I think that's a challenge, and I would like to get your feedback, because from the context point of view, the categories, the tags, the terms, especially in Spanish versus Portuguese, English,
mm-hmm.
because email marketing is email marketing in Spanish, you know, uh,
Right.
uh, but the same for marketing automation. CRM is CRM, sales is ventas, servicio al cliente is customer service. So you need to have a really good strategy of knowing I guess, the terms and the tax. So there's no fear of missing out. So you're out there. So
Uh,
how that works? I mean,
yeah,
because content
taxonomy.
content is content here is key.
Yeah, so I'll answer that. First, I want to give you a tip. Like, if you're running a consultancy, so you're having an agency essentially, and there are directories that are for agencies. So I would actually list yourself as an agency. Like, there's G2 for agency. I don't know if you knew. So
No,
G2
no.
has no, G2 has a whole layer for service companies. We just submitted an agency partner the other day onto G2. There is a Trustpilot. There is a directory called Good Firms. There is the major agency directory, which is called Clutch. uh, you could submit yourself there, get 2 3 reviews on each. Like, you could go deep. I am now, like, these days thinking like, better go wide and have like 2 3 reviews on each directory and see what works for you. And that's how you can make yourself known as a CRM, influencer slash agency. I would try.
Because traditionally, vendors, or review companies, or media companies, they do all these review for the top whatever,
Hmm.
influencers or analysts, and they call me. I have an interview and they list me. And then LinkedIn will give you a rank.
Right.
Fabicon will give you another rank. The other day somebody told me I was in the top 200 in Mexico. Then when I started searching, I was number 2 in Mexico for something else. But these people who are tagging me, or whatever logic, like you said, AI
Yeah.
is tagging you, like the
Hmm.
trust radius issue. That AI is tagging them somehow and they don't know. So yeah, that's part of the whole equation. So tell
Yeah.
me your feedback.
Yeah, so going back to your question about categorization, so there's this whole thing. I'm not sure, like, I knew the word before I got into Blustra. It's called taxonomy. Taxonomy is basically the science of categorization, how we categorize things. Like, it sounds a bit absurd, but it matters now. Even it seems to matter now more than before. What's a category? Category is like CRM, or like it could be customer journey mapping software, or it could be a customer success, customer support software, or, and those categories have like SAP categories, and like SAP categories may have, like, not may have, like, there are sets of features, right? So we have an object, we need to categorize it. In order to understand where it belongs, we need to look at the set of the features, map it to a subcategory or category, see if like it fits the minimum requirements in terms of features, and this is how we know that this software belongs to that category. Now, each directory has a slightly different approach to taxonomy, so the terms are not exact, and they also have slightly different rules to taxonomy. So there is like this directory called F6S. It's originally a startup community. Now they also have like a whole layer of like software products. They love adding categories to your software. You would like list your software there, and then like 2 days later they email you, hey, we added 8 more categories to your product listing so that you're better foundable. And like those categories, they do make sense, but I didn't ask for them. But okay. And then with G2, yeah, but with G2, G2 has a very strict set of features that you need to meet in order to be categorized in a certain way. And then you request, they sometimes they tag you proactively, sometimes you have to request this category. So does Capterra. And Capterra is very, very strict, and they may reject you from a category. And those taxonomies, the software evolves. Taxonomies do not always evolve as fast as the software does. So G2 is like very proactive about categories. They're adding a lot of AI categories now. Capterra hasn't been, and like I've had several customers who were like doing innovative products in very known categories. Like it's very clear that they belong to that category, but Capterra would refuse listing them to that category because they're missing some rigid functionality that no one even like needs anymore. Right, and this is like exactly the types of software that they are replacing, so they don't need this feature. Nobody uses this feature. But in Capterra's catalog, it's written that software that's categorized like in this way has to have those features, and they will not list you if you don't. So there's like this complexity around taxonomy, and like if you ask me, this is what takes most of the time when we list products in directories. Like we've dealt with it by just uh, what's the word that I can use? Basically, we have taxonomies of each software directory, and now our AI helps us to map the categories where the product needs to be to what directories can offer. But what I want to say is those categories seem to matter now more than they used to, because turns out that AI looks at those categories at indications of like who you are. It needs to like really quickly understand what this software is, and I've seen it at the number of like research and blog posts already that like those tags matter. They have to be right. And in the research that I've mentioned that we're doing using data from Blastra, it seems that companies that have too many categories that are not 100% relevant to what they do, as you mentioned with this like, customer journey software. If you have too many categories that are too wide and like kind of spreading yourself thin, and AI is not sure if you should be recommended together with tools that are more specialized. Uh, so like you kind of want to have a lot of categories, but you do not want to have like too many categories that are not related to your product. It seems to matter. Like I don't have like a hard proof yet, but like we will see the data. Like the research is going to come out soon. We will see the data. What I can say, like I dig into a little bit into like SEO and AEO tools discussion. So I looked at the new tool for measuring your AEO presence called Profound. It's very new, and it's like the category leader for AEO software, which is apparently a new category. And then there are like other tools that have this functionality. Hrefs, SEMrush, Conductor, they have the same functionality, but they will not be the number one software that comes to mind or comes to AI when you think about AEO category.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have those category tags of SEO. They are SEO tools. They are like backlinking tools. They have this heritage of categories that they belong to, but AO is added just as one of them, and so they do not really stand out. While
Well,
Profound is doing a very smart category play, and they are tagged everywhere as AO tool and AI like search optimization tool. But basically, they are tagged as like, this AI
mhm.
solution, and they don't have many categories, and it works for them.
No, because the last Tomando Café podcast was done with geometrics, which is they are
Mhm.
in the AEO Geo they compete with Profound. I should put you guys in contact anyway. But one of the key things that I'm listening to you and going back to the Latam market, we have Spanglish, we have English, we have, Spanish, we have Portuguese, we have the local, terms that we use. And then we have the traditional taxonomy in the CRM marketplace that still is confusing. Okay, or is coming from the search engine optimization, for example, CRM. So somebody selling a collection application in Latin America, tag me as CRM. Okay, or they are selling only software as a service. I'm sorry, a revenue operation or go to market, tag me as CRM. But they are not really CRM. If you want to take the true meaning of CRM in the taxonomy, is CRM, should be able to do marketing, sales, and service. And so, you have marketing automation, then you have marketing cloud, then you have customer journey, then you have orchestration. Who's on first? What is the right term? So, and I think it matters having that taxonomy and probably, your tagging, your FAQs, your knowledge base, even your website, should come up with a glossary of terms. And like you said, be very specific. So when somebody's looking for you, you show up when you show up. Because the last thing, if I put CRM and then I show up, that's not what I was looking for. AI is not working, or your taxonomy is not working. Because I see all these companies right now in LinkedIn that they say that CRM, and then so when I go, no, they use AI to improve, the sales process. Call it, inbound, outbound, data enrichment, sequencing, whatever. But they don't do what I believe is a true CRM. Right. So that's part of, I guess, going back to what you said, you need to have a special people, or whoever is dedicated, to understand AI and search engine optimization, for them to know what taxonomy is, okay, and how to apply it, because depending on the directory, it might be good, it might be bad, or they're ready. So when they talk to you and you put them, you publish them, it's easy. You can track it. You understand what it is. Right. Because sometimes, this is something that I argue with many of the CR vendors, and a lot of people do marketing automation. A lot of people do email marketing. A lot of people do customer journeys. Okay, but nobody's doing campaign orchestration or campaign governance. Okay, and so sure, I do orchestration. No, I need to go a place that when I put my campaign, I have the right name, I have the cost, the objectives, I have the right tagging. I know if advertising is organic, and then I need to go to Facebook and do my campaign, and then I go do my email marketing, and then I do my WhatsApp, and then, but or my journey, whatever. But nobody's doing the true campaign process, and then they say, oh, you need to buy a data cloud. But all of a sudden, we forgot about the context, and then you are not found. Right. So it happens a lot with CDP. Whenever people reach out to me for CDP, say, are you through a CDP, or you a composable, or you run over Snowflake and Databricks, or you have a segmentation, whatever, or you don't have it. Your journeys, what you do? Say, yeah, all of the above. And it's like you said, yeah, sure, let me include everything, because with search engine optimization, you're going to show up. But with AI, that won't be the case.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Basically, we do not understand, no one understands how AI searches and decides and what it relies on. It also, it changes, right? If you look at the reports, right? It's like LinkedIn is now one of the most quoted source by AI, like in the searches that are related to B2B content. It was not there half a year ago, right? So AI suddenly decided that this is the source. Uh, and we don't know what it can decide, what it will decide, but I think like if we should apply common sense here and think again, like as a software buyer, from the perspective of a software buyer, a person looking for a CRM, does it make sense to look at LinkedIn? Probably. This is where influencers are. Does it make sense to look at the G2? Like, of course, this is like where the reviews are and all the vendors are. Like Gartner Peer Insights, maybe like if I'm looking at for a CRM that fits my enterprise. Reddit, uh, I don't know, some niche forum or a listicle or on a website that wasn't there yesterday doesn't make sense. So like if AI surfaces them, like maybe like that's for now, but it doesn't make sense. So like it should not last for long this period. But you do want to make sure that you're tagged correctly, categorized correctly according to what you do, and then it increases the chances for you to be found.
So, Katya, if I want to, buy your services, as
Hmm.
a software vendor, because there's plenty of this, and I'm going to write a blog about this in both English and Spanish. How, what is the lead time? I say I want to be in all of these. I have these categories.
Yeah,
You do the advising, you out there, and then there is the maintenance. How how
right.
how that works, because people need to understand that, because for me that's part of marketing, that's part
Hmm.
of content,
Sure.
that's part of my website, that's part of reviews, and that needs to be part of my year long end to
Hmm.
end always
Sure.
on campaign. So as a software vendor, how
Sure.
that works.
Yeah, so the worst, like you come to our website, Blastra.io, you sign up, you give us your website, and we start. Well, we're now changing the onboarding, so I'm going to tell you the onboarding that's going to start working starting next week. Basically, like you give us your website, and we start with understand like the agent AI agent runs and understands what your company is, and then we start running our what we call a visibility posture check. The agent goes and checks a list of 20 plus directories which we work with, and sees if you are already there, because like some companies are there, they just don't know it. Sometimes directories post companies, and the companies have listings they have
To
not
generate traffic,
claimed, and
obviously, yeah.
yeah, like Trustpilot is often an issue. They have no idea, but they have like a listing with like 100 of very bad reviews. So we start with the presence scan. It takes a couple of minutes. At the same time, we're filling out the profile for the company. So we're filling out the same agent. It's actually another agent, but it doesn't matter. The information is filled out about the company and about the product. This is what we will need in order to start working with the company. So after some time, you see a list of directories where you're present and where we think you should be. And we make our recommendations based on a number of parameters, such as your category. We have niche directories that we can recommend. We have the popular directories that we can recommend. We have some lightweight directories that we can recommend, like they don't need reviews, for example. So we recommend you a list, like it can be like 6 or 12 directories, and then you have to give us the data that we need to work with. So we already have your profile pre-filled. You scan through it, you approve, or you can like correct some things. You give us your screenshots. Logo we are usually able to retrieve from the scan, So you need to give us the screenshots. We give those screenshots names and descriptions, and then you're all set. You purchase the package inside the system. We're currently serving packages of 6 and 12 directories. I honestly do not think it's a good measure for the package, but this is where we currently are. So you can buy a package for 6 or 12 directories. Then we run an email verification setup. The thing is, directors are mostly serious about it. A verified representative of a company needs to submit the information. You cannot submit an information for my company, right? It has to be someone with with an email on Blastra. But we have a setup where we can get a hold of the corporate email from a company. That's done through forwarding, and after that. Our customers just can close the tab and relax. So we start working. An operator on our side initiates the process, whether it's an existing listing that needs an update or a new listing. And then we go through a multi-step process with the directories, starting from verification and finishing with going live. The customer is updated when the listing is almost live. It's under our audit. We have an internal audit first. And then the customer is updated when the listing is live. So you get an update by email, and then it also updates live on the dashboard. So if a listing is escalated, sometimes we have this issue with categories, or sometimes Capterra rejects us again for categorization reasons. So it's escalated. We're dealing with that. We take all the communication with support of directories on ourselves, and then you are set up. So from our perspective, you are set up now. What is management? Management is several things. First, you need to make sure that your profile is up to date, meaning some directories require pricing. Your pricing changed, you want to have it updated. Your messaging slightly changed or seriously changed, you want to have it updated. You release the major functionality, you want to have it updated. So that would be management. Once per quarter is a good is a very good cadence for the updates, plus those major ad hoc updates. So we can take a listing under management, and then for a subscription fee, we can keep updating the listings as you have them. So that's one side of the management, the updates. We call it fidelity, right? So you need to maintain the listing fidelity, and it's relative to where your product currently is. And then the other side is reviews. So you want to start driving reviews to the directories that are strategically important for you. For some, it will be G2. For some, it will be Capterra. I'm hoping that soon those will be syndicated, but not yet. For some, it may be PeerSpot or Gartner. So these reviews needs to be driven to the listings. We are planning to start helping companies run review campaigns, and then they need to be responded to. With that, we can help the response. What we do not do, we do not help with reviews that are not from the customers of our customer. So that's not the service we provide. We only work with the actual customers of our clients, and basically management of presence, fidelity, reviews is reputation, and then there's a third dimension, which is reach. Sometimes we find new directories which we think are relevant, and you may want to be added to more directories, or there's a niche directory that's worth being on. So we also help with that, and a company can engage with us one time just to get listed and forget about it, but for some time, or on
With AI today, I will forget about it. You got to be on top of this.
yes, correct. But again, like this can be a choice, right?
Yeah,
I'll just
but
list and then
I will not
set it
recommend
for
that
them.
to my
Right.
as a analyst talking to the software vendors in Latin America. No, you got to be there. I mean,
Uh,
this.
there and up to date. That's ideal. But they can also have. They can also update their listings without us, right? The main thing they receive from us is this dashboard with access. They have all the links, they have all the credentials. Someone like created them for them. If an employee leaves, it does not get lost. Like, we're
Mhm.
also we're dealing with that a lot actually,
Oh,
right? So an employee left and like the spreadsheet that was like in their Google sheet on their personal account, like no one knows where the access is,
yeah.
right? So we have this like they have the centralized access. They can go in and update by themselves if they want to. For the larger companies, of course, it makes sense that they will just tell us, and we will update the information inside of our system, and then we go and update on their behalf.
Okay. Perfect. So to finish here, let me I probably have two takeaways, Katya. Uh, you know, definitely you got to be in these directories. Okay, and that's my first takeaway. Now that I know I can be there as a person. Based on what you're telling me,
As an
as
agent,
a
like
as
as
agent,
like a service
yeah,
service service company,
service customer, yeah. But
we're a
you have
service company, yeah.
they have you have I am a one person agency. you
Eh,
know,
I think it's allowed. I don't know. Like I need to
but
check. But like it's an agency. You
your
provide a
company your
service. You have
company
a
needs to
company.
your company agency software vendors, you know your brand, if you're selling service and software even if you're selling AI products, you got to be in this place, in
Yeah.
these directories. That's I think that's a must. That's a baseline. Okay, definitely. And second, in top of that baseline, you need to be sure that you know your taxonomy. You
Uh,
need you
yeah.
need to you need as a vendor, you need to own it. You know, so from the because a lot of these AI agents tools, and I'm looking at Salesforce, I'm looking at SAP, looking at ServiceNow, Microsoft, they're investing a lot in tools that will help you manage the context.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you don't have that taxonomy defined as a vendor, it won't. They need to hire you guys to help them to go through that process. I mean, you need to have it. That's something that is important. And third, yeah, you need to be listed. You need to know your taxonomy, but you need to own this. You need to maintain it. This is not you're listed and that's it. It's like SEO. Search engine optimization. You need to give it data. You need to analyze it. You need to make it happen. Especially now, for example, SEMrush was acquired for Adobe.
Right.
That tells you, 1 + 1 is 5.
Mm.
you know 2 + 2 is 8. Things are coming and we don't know yet. Okay, but you need to be there. That's my take. That's the lesson that I take from you today.
Yeah.
So saying that, I leave you with the last words.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. I think like what's important is to like draw maybe to show a distinction between being on social networks, social media, and like on directories, right? So you want to be like and on the directors and like in social media being present, but social media every day you have to feed it, every day you have to come up with a new post on LinkedIn if you want to be out there. And with the directories, the beauty is that yes, they require updates, but you set them up once, that's the hard work, and then you update them like once per quarter, once per month. It's good enough, and reviews keep coming. You don't have to really like work on it and write every review. Someone is writing for you. So that's like that's a completely different dynamics, and it works for you with like a very little investment. And like a lot of people are missing that, like they're missing a point. They say like you have to be like where your customers are, and mean like social media. Yes, but social media, you like try disappearing from LinkedIn for a week, like that's it, you're gone, your audience is gone, and like you disappeared from Capterra for 1 week, nothing happens. The listing keeps working for you, right? If you set up PPC, it keeps working for you there, and like you keep being found. Like it's enough that you're there with the solid listing filled out with the right categories in the right company. So
it's like, yeah, it's like when you list my podcast is listed, I don't know, a bunch of places everywhere, and the whole idea that people find you,
Sure.
Now, again, it's difficult to keep up with everything that's happening and with all the podcasting and directories, SEO, AO, everything above, So that's why, we need to talk about this. People need to understand so they can make the decision, because like you said, the fear of missing out and not knowing what AI really is going to do, especially social media changes the algorithms, the LLMs are going to change, so, we need to be there somehow. So
Yep.
So saying that, Katya, thank you very much to be here. Much. I'm going to provide the links and descriptions, everything in the comment sections when I post the podcast. And ya saben, nos buscan por ahí. Go ahead.
No, just like I'll send the links to a couple of reports, like industry reports that I find very like useful. So you can post them in the notes.
Perfect. We do that. Don't leave, okay? Hasta la próxima. Nos vemos. Ya saben. Pórtense bien.